Hey there, it's Michael Greenwood. So this is my really simple, quick guide to when you should run paid ads to your business with some real, figures and stuff like that at the bottom of this document that I'm going to run through with you now. So it's a four-step process, not 5 steps, 4 steps with some calculations at the back, at the bottom. So when should you run paid ads for your business? So first thing is mindset around running paid ads. It's something that you use to scale a concept rather than test a concept when you're a small business. So I'd prefer you to do your proof of concept organically, really, with your time, and then use paid ads to actually, to scale it up, really. So the types of businesses I work with, they've got to have a minimum spend of 25k a month. So that's a non-negotiable. That's about 300k a year. So that means that they've got proof of concept. They're usually quite high ticket as well. I work with a lot of tradespeople, construction, that kind of thing. Tend to not work with one-man bands. Tend to have teams. Tend to have a solid sales process, basically. So number one is you've got to have product market fit and a really good sales conversion process. So you've got to be able to reliably turn leads into customers, really. So a profitable business, because there's no point in scaling with the inefficiencies, or especially not a business that's not profitable. And I'll run through how to check if it's profitable later on in this lesson. Right. So your cash flow, you've got to be able to sustain this to run your ads for at least 3 to 6 months. That's non-negotiable. I just don't work with anybody who wants to switch the ads off after 2 weeks or something like that. It's just not the mindset. So you've got to be able to run the ads for enough time to get the data together. Now, some people will tell you, some marketing gurus, some of my competitors and everything, where they'll say, "Oh, yeah, but we can get somebody profitable within 1 week," something like that. Look, if you've got a big list, if you've got loads of social proof, if you've got some data in an ads account already, if you're already running ads, we might be able to do some tweaks. It depends. Every case is different. But if you're starting an ads account from scratch, you need to build the data up. So you're not going to get optimal results after a week or something like that. You need to go in with a long-term view to running ads. You don't just run a TV ad once. You don't just have just enough budget to run, put a banner ad on the side of the road just once. If you just got that amount of money, you need to put it into something else. Save that money, invest that money elsewhere, and use your time to organically generate leads for your business. Paid ads is not for you if you've only got enough budget to run ads for a week or two. If you're going to panic and switch your ads off after 2 weeks, running paid ads is not for you. You've got to have enough cash, capital to be able to sustain this and build up your data. We're going to test some offers, and that needs time to do it. And yeah, you can, if you've got some data, we can do lookalike audiences, and you can do retargeting and all that kind of thing. But you want to go into paid ads with a long-term view. So got to be able to the cash flow to handle the upfront investment. Next up, we're going to set up lead attribution, tracking, analytics. We need to understand what we're optimizing for and the KPIs. So there is going to be a discovery process, like why you're running the ads, and I would ask you in discovery, as well as what your LTV is, as well as what your conversion rate is, as well as looking a bit at your sales process and stuff like that. I would want to be confident that you can convert leads, basically. So the other thing is then what we're optimizing for. Do you want to receive a phone call? Do you want to get a contact form and all that kind of thing? What do you want people to actually do? What we don't want to do is just be getting likes and comments and stuff like that on things, just like engagement. We need people to actually take action. Next thing is your LTV needs to be higher than your CAC. So go through all this now. So what is your LTV? Your customer lifetime value. And this must be higher than your CAC. And I'll go through a lot of calculations in this one, actually. So your CAC is your cost to acquire a customer. So how much can you buy a customer for? How much are you willing to buy a customer for? This is a question that I ask a lot. So, for example, medical spa example, roofer example, and restaurant example. I'll go through all these figures. So let's say you're a medical spa and you sell Botox treatments, so $250, 3 areas, something like that. It's just a guide price. And that customer comes about 3 or 4 times a year. They're going to spend £1,000 a year, revenue, gross revenue. So let's say you can also sell them something to the value of £1,000, so filler and some other stuff or whatever. So that's another £1,000. So that customer in that year has spent £2,000. Now, obviously, I know it's not all profit. Half of that might be profit. So your profit is £1,000. Yeah. Let's say you want all your customers to stay as long as possible. You want them to stay forever, but it doesn't always happen. So let's say your average customer spends £2,000 a year and stays for 5 years. That'll be 10 grand revenue, or profit will be 5 grand, right? So then ask yourself, how much are you willing to spend to acquire a customer? Let's say that your CAC is 250. So 250 to acquire a customer in our spend. Then, and that customer is worth in profit 5 grand, or gross revenue 10 grand over the average 5 years that they stay. That's going to be a profit of £4,750. So the question is, would you invest £250 to get a customer who's going to, on average, spend £5,000 profit with you? Yeah. So that's the way that you work it out. However, you'd probably be asking yourself, right, yeah, but Michael, that's what they're going to spend over a lifetime. And that is the key thing. That is the key thing. As long as your LTV is more than your CAC, then, it makes sense to do this. But obviously you've got something called cash flow as well. So you've got to be able to sustain your business. And this is where how capitalized you are comes into play as well. So let's say it costs you £250 to buy a new customer, and that customer pays you £250 for that first Botox treatment, and it costs you £125 in fulfillment of that treatment, so your product, staff, whatever. And then you come away with £125. You got £125 profit, but it's cost you £250. You actually minus 125. But then let's say you'd have to work out if it's worth it, because if for every 10 customers, a couple of them, at least a couple of them come back again. Maybe some of them are just going to be one-off. At least a couple. Then is that worth it? That's where you got to work it out. Now, there's something called a self-liquidating ad, and that's where, let's say, to make this self-liquidating, your CAC would have to be 125. So it's 250 Botox, 50% profit margin, 125 pound profit, therefore, and then your CAC is 125. That means you're breaking even on that first sale. So that's a self-liquidating sale, and then everything after that is gravy, because your numbers say that you're going to get 5 grand profit for every customer that on average, not for every customer, sorry, for on average. And we work that out, like let's say for every 10 customers, 3 stay for 5 years or something like that. So you've got to do that maths, basically. You've got to really know the numbers in your business, right? So you got to work out, if that makes sense for your business. A roofer, so let's say your average job is I don't know, 1,200 or something like that. What's your LTV though? Is that customer going to come back? So you've got to consider if they're going to come back and do other jobs. If it's just generally a one-off, then your LTV is literally that job. So it's that 1,200 quid. and let's say your 50% margin is £6,000, like that, then and by the way, like LTV, I might not have explained this too well. If you're not sure what your lifetime value is, all your revenue divided by number of customers. It's simple as that, yeah. So 12 grand a roofer makes for average job or whatever, minus 6 grand for costs, all that kind of thing, parts and labour and stuff, and then let's say your CAC is 400. Is that worth it? Would you invest £400? And you know, so I say invest rather than spend. It's an investment in your business. If you don't invest in your business, nobody else can invest in your business. Do you see the £400 as wasted money? Because some people have that mindset in business. Oh, I don't pay for advertising. I get all my work through word of mouth. But word of mouth, to kind of answer that objection, word of mouth only goes so far. You can't scale a business very well with word of mouth. You have peaks and troughs. If you're just waiting for people to proactively, you're reactively waiting for people to get in touch with you and waiting for your phone to ring, because all your eggs in one basket with word of mouth, then it's very difficult, if not often possible, to grow a business through word of mouth alone. And obviously, when you're running paid ads as well, you're actually tapping into people's networks. So you're getting a new customer, and then what are they going to do? You do a good job, they're going to refer you on to their friends and family and colleagues and all that kind of thing. And what is that? That's word of mouth. So if you believe in word of mouth to grow your business, and if you're not running ads, then really the bottleneck is that you don't actually want to scale your business and you don't want to grow. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people don't, and that's fine. But this video is more for if you're looking at growing, you're looking at scaling. That's when you want to run paid ads. You don't want to run paid ads if you're one-man band at full capacity or a one-person business, and you're at full capacity, because you're just going to get then too much work in, and you're not going to know what to do with that work. So there's no point in running paid ads. This is for if you've got an appetite for growth and you want to scale your business. Right. So this example, let's say, the most of there's like one-off jobs or something like that, £1,200. But remember the word of mouth. For every happy customer, how many are they going to refer on? So for every happy customer at 12 grand, they might refer one more person at 12 grand. So that's 24 grand. So you're investing 400 quid to make 12 grand profit. No brainer. Yeah. So that's the way you work it out. And the other kind of question is, if it's not £400 for a lead for your particular business, to acquire a customer, to buy a customer, would you invest 1,000? Would you put 1,000 in to get 6 grand profit back? So those are the questions to ask. I would. So restaurants, that's a bit tricky because it's lower ticket. So restaurants are quite low ticket, and I don't actually work with restaurants because of low ticket, basically. So in terms of the let's say it's your CAC is 100, it's 50 per head, something like that. Half of that is profit, £25 for a person per head. Yeah, right. Let's say you run an offer and it attracts a family of 4 or something, and they're all going to £50 a head. So that's going to be £25 profit. Then that's going to be self-liquidating. So, but let's say you do children's meal, so it's going to be 50 a head. Children's are going to be a bit cheaper. Children's, so actually your profit is going to be £12.50 on those. That kind of thing. So you've got a couple of 25s and a couple of 12.50s. So you've got 75 quid. Yeah. So you run ads at 100, and then your profit is 75. Yeah. So that means loss leader at 25 minus 25. Yeah. So you've so 25. So really, the way to work that out is you might not have self-liquidating ads with that model. You might, but you're relying on that repeat business. So what you've got to do with that is for every 10 customers, how many return? How many what is the lifetime value? So is this, what are the chances based on the past of what's happened in your business? This is why you need to have proof of concept and know, your lifetime value and all this kind of thing before you run ads. Or it's riskier, So in terms of, for every 10 customers, for every 10 families who give you £75 on average profit, how often do they come back? So let's say that 5 never return, and 5 come back 3 or 4 times a year. So let's say they come back 3 times a year to be conservative. They're going to come back 3 times a year, 75 times 3. So it's 225. So that's and that's every year. And then they come back every year for 3 years or something like that. So we're talking 225 times 3, so 675. So the LTV is 675, and you've bought that customer for 100 quid. So is that worth it? Yeah. Because you're going to make a loss, initially. Can your cash flow sustain that? Now, can you get your CAC down? These are just examples. Can you get your CAC down? Can your CAC be 50? And then you are making a profit. So you're making a profit of 25 on your first one. Is that likely? How much are you currently buying a customer for? With your over advertising as well. Are you doing advertising? Work out, do a test and measure on your wider marketing as well. So, yeah. Right, I'll wrap up the video. I'm Michael Greenwood. If you want to have a chat, I offer free of charge clarity calls over Zoom and phone call. If you want me to, have a look if this might be for you, and then we can take it from there. I do have a minimum 25k per month. You must be turning over for me to run ads for you. So you must be turning over 300k a year for me to run any ads. So just adding that quick qualifier in there. But yeah, and yeah. Feel free to watch this video back, apply it to your own business, and I'll see you next time.